Shall we start? Welcome all to this lovely location. Thank you, Dr. Forshaw, for giving us this room. The first order of business, as always, is to approve the minutes of the May 5th meeting. I hope you've all had a wonderful chance to read them. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. From Dan.
Second.
And a second from Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Now go into the pay application. George?
Okay, so this month we're billing $977,445. That includes masonry, which is basically just demobilization and that type of stuff. All the masonry work is substantially complete. Metal fabrications, these are for the guardrails in the library, media center. They've done some roof ladders. Through our architectural woodwork, that's the cabinets in the music rooms and work in the media center. OWI, general trades, all the doors, hardware, overhead coiling doors in the kitchen. Roofing, just basically some, flashing, metal flashing, finishing that up. Aluminum entrance and storefronts, that's all the windows, curtain walls, both interior and exterior, which is substantially complete. Gypsum board, just sanding and finishing up the gypsum board. Acoustic, the ceilings are in, the pads are in. They've been working on actually some of the acoustical panels on the walls. M. Frank Higgins on the flooring. They've started the flooring in the music rooms, in the library, media center. Painting, just painting walls, ceilings, and actually been finishing some of the floors. Fire protection is all the drops. Plumbing, plumbing fixtures and all that. They're installing plumbing fixtures right now. HVAC, we did start up all the rooftop units. They're under control. That work. Fire alarm, electric, it's just fire alarms, electric, and security. Also J.E. Shea, sound systems, that work. Site work, you can see it's curbing, sidewalks, and that. So it's, the trades are a total of about $999,000, and then our fees and stuff, it's, the gross $1,040,000, and then, with retainage and all that, it's $977,000. Anybody have any questions or?
Any questions? Did we ever get the flooring for the gym yet?
No. Been, it's about, I'm gonna say 2 to 3 weeks out. So.
That's got to acclimate.
That's acclimate, yes. So they were telling us, depending on the well, the units are on, it's all controlled, and they're saying about 72 hours, to acclimate. But, obviously that depends a little bit on the weather and actually where they store it too. Like if they stored it in a warehouse that's conditioned, then, it might take a little bit less time to acclimate.
So we think we're going to get it in about 2 weeks?
We would say 2 or 3 weeks. We'll get them on site. Typically, they like to deliver it like on a Friday and then let it go over the weekend, and then Monday or Tuesday we start.
Does it come pre-finished or?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it's maple wood, so it won't come pre-finished. They'll finish it. I think it's like 3 coats.
What's the timeline on that, coding and the striping?
It's probably about 4 or 5 days.
I think we'll try to expedite it because it's coming later than expected. But with some of those things with the coatings, the dry time is dry time. You can't expedite it. We don't want to ruin the finish.
Just getting it out of, is it Vermont or New Hampshire? That's
Actually,
Massachusetts.
I'm gonna say Pennsylvania, but I can
Pennsylvania.
double check on that. Yeah,
It's coming up through Philadelphia on 95.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I mean, it's not coming up.
Airlift.
Sounds like a helicopter need.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a small supplier that OWI chose. I forgot who.
Yeah, OWI is, it's a sub of OWI, but actually they had a lot of issues with them, so they had to go to another supplier.
Oh, good.
So that was what the issue was with, the delays, if you will. It was a small guy, and for whatever reason, well, I'm not too sure what happened, but they ended up going to another supplier.
They weren't giving OWI the most accurate information.
Right.
That's what it was. So we get updates throughout the project of where things are. And they were saying, yep. And then all of a sudden,
Not here.
it wasn't there. So they went a different direction.
Does anybody have any other questions concerning the pay application as presented? If none, I will make a motion to approve the pay application as presented to this meeting. Is there a second? Sean? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Thank you, Mr. Carey. Okay. George, how about our progress report?
Through the month of May, academic completion, well, for the academic one was August 17th. Site work, we're projecting now the substantial completion for site work, the middle of July 17th. And then landscaping, what I did is I actually pulled those two apart because they are separate, trade contractors. And originally I had them, as two separate, so we're projecting the landscaping being substantially complete the beginning of August. Assembly wing substantial completion, the middle of July 17th as well, and that includes, like furniture deliveries, as this phase, or the academic phase, the fire marshal, building inspector didn't really issue TCOs for substantial completion until after the furniture's in. So we've had a few meetings with, the furniture consultant, and we got their schedule. So, all the furniture, for the most part, will be delivered, the end of this month. So like today, we're supposed to get some loose chairs and tables, and then Monday, we're getting the deliveries for the library book stacks and the cafeteria tables. And then, the middle, I think it's like the third, not this week, then the following, not next week, but then the following week, I think it's the music storage racks and chairs, and those are coming in. So by the end of the month, the furniture should all be in. And then, with the furniture set and all that, then we'll go through the process with Bob and Mike about, our TCOs and our our TCO inspections.
Well, at that point, it'll be a final CO inspection, right? There won't be anything temporary about it.
I don't think we'll go for a TCO, it'll just be a final CO.
George, that 717, does that include the wood floor in the gymnasium for assembly wing substantial completion?
Yes, it did at the time of the report, so.
Are you rolling backwards?
Yeah. Like I said, there's some variables
Yes.
depending on. That'll probably be like the very last thing we do is the final coat of the top coat of the floor, and then shut and lock the doors.
And as far as substantial completion with a phase of this size, we'll wait until everything's done that way the warranties for that whole building are the same instead of, if the music wings are a little earlier, if it takes an extra few weeks for the gym, we'll just push the substantial completion all of it, so the warranties for everything start later.
Yeah, because, substantial completion will kick in the warranties and then also insurance transfers and stuff, so we'll just, like Dave said, probably wait for at least the substantial completion certificate.
Just a question, was it requested by the fire marshal and the building inspector to not come until after the furniture was in, or they said no? What was their purpose
On
for
the
that?
first time around.
Usually, they want to see it because they want to make sure that you're not putting furniture and egress paths and things like that.
And that, you think that's just school related, or would that be of any sort of building related too? Okay.
Yeah, that's typical where they want to look, I mean, I've seen it both ways where some building inspectors will want the TCO before the furniture's in.
Yeah.
And then some will want it after just for that reason. You lay out a classroom and stuff just to make sure they
Safe.
maintain the egress, So it's really up to them how they handle it, so.
To your point, David, we're not going to be doing a TCO, we're going to be doing a final CO.
At this point, you'll get a CO for the whole facility.
Right.
There's no reason why anything would be temporary after this point.
What day are teachers back and what day are kids back for the next?
End of August. So you have time. I think it's the 28th is our first campaign.
So the only thing that's close to that is the east parking lot.
That's right.
We always knew that the east parking lot was gonna be tight because we still need the parking lot the way it is now, but Sean, they're gonna do some saw cutting.
I believe Monday.
Yeah.
Be on that east parking lot. I think the students are the 28th.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Teachers.
Because in that parking lot, while we put a lot of utilities, there's still the curbing that hasn't been put in that parking lot. There's light pole bases that have to get connected to the conduit, right? So there's
the fire hydrant.
Right.
Basically, we're rotating the cars are parked this way and the parking lot gets like rotated 90 degrees where there's a couple islands and then they park like north to south.
Teachers return the 24th, 25th of August, and then the students are back that 20th, 29th.
Thank you. But it's tight.
Hopefully it doesn't rain.
Like 3 other projects started by then too.
Yeah.
Good. Keep track of them all.
Good thing is we're not digging those massive holes that we had to do
Yeah.
years ago. So, and then budget wise, construction budget, got our potential revisions, and then our budget costs, our construction costs. So we're projecting right now contingency, the CMR contingency, 814,000, and then with the balance of the allowance, about 900,000 left in the construction managers.
Hey, George, before we get too much into the budget, do you want to talk quickly about just what's happening in the existing school now that the students are out? You want to talk about some of that's going to be happening in the next short order of time?
Yeah, we're gonna be, there's a temporary gym and the temporary library and music. So, we have some work to do there to convert them back. Basically, there's a partition we have to put in with some plumbing and some cabinet work. We have to change the toilets. Right now, they're for the older kids. And then, so because of the ELP, the toilets are gonna be smaller, so we have some work to do in there to convert them back to classrooms.
And that conversion work starts next week, right?
It's already happening.
Yeah, well, actually,
They're already.
They're pumping the floor right now.
Okay.
and then the drywall, once he's finished with the, taking down this temporary partition, he's gonna go and frame the walls, in the ELP rooms and stuff. Yeah, and Kevin's taking out the flooring, the rubber flooring, that temporary rubber flooring for the gym. Like all the permanent flooring's in underneath.
Right.
So,
It's being reused somewhere else in the district, right?
Yeah, I think we're able to reuse it for, some of the other swing spaces for the other 3 projects, which is great.
I understand.
Yeah.
And like I said, the funds available is, they're pretty, obviously pretty healthy at this point. Let's see what else. And, for May, there were 2 proposal requests issued, one for the playground equipment layout, just basically was that, the basketball layout, and then maybe a detention system overflow revision. So we got 2 proposal requests, this month, and then an RFI, but that was answered, and then, 1 ASI, and that was the gym floor marking, which was basically the logo in the center. Was issued. We had several PCOs, that were approved by the subcommittee and processed. We're currently processing, or holding, 2 PCOs, modifications to the HVAC system, and then the propane tank enclosure, which was just adding the fence around there. Schedule activities, we'll talk about the schedule, no real major revisions to the schedule this month. And then we did talk about the furniture deliveries.
George, did we have a PCO yet for putting sod down?
Yes, I got that this morning.
Okay.
So,
We talked about putting sod down in the field, so it would be ready by the fall, rather than just planting it.
Yeah.
And giving it,
yeah, and it was consistent, like I said, because it was about, what we did before. It was like around 32,000.
Right.
Which was pretty consistent with what we did before.
Okay.
The amount was about the same.
Okay.
So, yeah, I have that this morning, so.
Is that done through Sean's?
No, it's
No.
TC Landscape, it's a separate.
We don't try and give Sean more work if we can help it. No offense.
Procurement issues,
Spell it the Irish way, it would be a whole
well,
lot better.
delays or equipment material deliveries at this time. So this was kind of written to for the gym, but at least they were able to find one that was available forward. Summary, mentioned the site work, they completed the insulation detention basin and the retaining walls, they continue with light pole bases, curbing, and they also started the sidewalks. And then also, probably this month, they did finish up the playground area, and the playground equipment was delivered earlier this week, and they've started some of the install on the playground equipment. So he said they'll be here probably like 3 or 4 weeks, and that will include the EOP playground as well.
Taking that up.
Yeah, actually, the district's gonna take up the playground equipment, take the wood chips,
Okay.
and then we'll just take over from there.
Okay.
So I think they're gonna use them at the other schools. Building, so completed roof flashing, and coping, metal roof coping, the ductwork, plumbing work, sprinkler piping, that's been completed. Installation gypsum board and taping's been completed, prime painting, we started finish coating the walls, and also painting some of the floors. Complete installation of the ceiling grids, started the pads, that has since been completed. They have since also started the acoustical wall panels. Those have been going up as well. And that's just the activity by the trades. Punch list status, actually, we've had closed out several items. We're finalizing that right now. We'll probably reissue it. So I think the idea is when Slam will come and do the punch list of the assembly wing, I'd say it's probably around like that week after the 4th. Then Jeff could verify the academic as well. Closeout item commissioning, actually they did close out several of the items, or not close, they addressed several of the items. There's probably a couple still open, but right now, Ferguson, I believe, just updated the commissioning log yesterday, and right now we're trying to set up a time to schedule the commissioning of the equipment in the assembly wing within the next couple weeks. And when we commission the assembly wing, then SES can go and verify the log, the closed items in the academic.
Okay.
So we're setting that up right now with CES Ferguson and other vendors.
And George, you're already doing pre-punch list in the assembly wing, right?
Punch list, yep. We've been doing the pre-punch list in the assembly. So, like I said, we'll probably look to have Slam do the punch list that week after the 4th. Schedule and then some pictures. So this is just making the final connection from the building to the grease trap. Like I said, all the exterior brick has been completed. This is the entry into the cafeteria. Siding, the sidewalk along the south area, that's been since placed. And then, like I said, this is the detention basin where the playground equipment goes. That's the concrete slab where the basketball area is.
It's a nice view,
Mhm.
right? Wow,
Forget how much space is back there.
yeah.
And then the gymnasium, looking at the stage. So
And those windows make a world of difference.
Yeah, much better idea.
this is the library, looking down, circulation desk. And the library, one of the music rooms. And that's the gang bathrooms. Actually, all the tile has been completed. They've been hanging the fixtures and we put in the toilet partitions as well. That's the cafeteria with the serpentine ceiling. Yes. And then the kitchen area, but we've since, the kitchen equipment has been delivered. They're setting it in place. And then I think yesterday they got the rest of the equipment, the ones that was being reused, like some of the shelves and sinks. So got that yesterday and they're installing those now. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions?
When does the slide go in?
That's
That's important.
First dibs for you?
We should all take the first round.
Here, someone already brought it up.
they're doing it now, so I would say probably another 2 weeks.
So next meeting?
I would say that.
There's a PTO fundraiser, see who gets the first run down the slide. Raffle off things.
It's a great idea. George will test it.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, the next item, Amy, I hope I didn't put you at a disadvantage here, but talking about our energy performance,
No, I'm ready.
outstanding.
So, a few weeks back, Rusty did reach out and I was able to have our in-house sustainability
My mic
Yeah,
or?
I'm sorry, somehow I got muted in between.
Oh,
Can you hear us now, Andy? Sorry about that. Okay.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Thank you.
Sorry about that. We're here.
Right, the next item of business is a long-awaited analysis of our project soft costs, which I'm sorry for all the columns and numbers, but I went back and researched all this, and, originally, original means when guaranteed maximum price contract was signed in December of 2021. We included estimated soft costs, and they're all listed here for you to look at. We had $5,744,000 as our estimate, and we have spent against that estimate $5,389,000. That's through the end of May. That came directly from Finance Director's payment list, which we get every month. Okay? The estimated amount to still be spent, I put a column there for you. I put it by $12,000 a month for SLAM. The furniture is the big outlier. Those are the amount of furniture items still to be delivered. It included the additional items we agreed to have, I think it was several months ago. And the question would be, well, how come it's so much larger than the original estimate? The original estimate used basically $1,500 per student, and they had 528 students, but actually that was a typo. It should have been 578 students. So we started out from the wrong basis. I think we put more students in here since. We put the DLC here. So we've got more students here, and that was part of the decision made by the committee and the district. The district requested it, and the committee said, fine. We built that way out. So we have more furniture than we anticipated from our original estimate, and a lot of it still to come. Other than that, we would have had significant savings in the telephone system, but we decided, remember, to boost the cell phone reception, and that was $65,000. Otherwise, we would have been well below our telephone system, because Jeff Adams basically saved the old stuff, which was great. Jeff has been very helpful on this. And all the screens we put in were well below our number of 900,000. So we've come up with maybe $575,000 more to spend between now and the end of the project, which means that if we're making our numbers correct, we'll be only $220,000 over what we originally estimated, which is not bad, given the fact that we did some additional things like the telephone booster and a number of other things. And we also, we had a lot more hazmat work by hygienists than we anticipated. So this is where we stand as of today and our estimate for the end of the project, which I think is, I'm more confident than I would have. I was anticipating a much worse number. So I'm not too unhappy about that. So if we take that and we put it into looking at all of our reserves, which is our next slide, we started out with original reserves, contingencies, allowances, whatever, of about 4 million, almost 4 million now. That included something that you all never saw really, which was the allowances for the trade, which are built into all of their subcontracts. It's a substantial amount of money. To date, we've used up $1.9 million, and I think both which gives us a current balance of $2.9 million, and we think we're going to spend against the contingencies, we'll be using $525,000 more. So we think we're going to end up the project with unused contingencies and allowance of about 2.4 million, which is not bad, given the complexity of the work and the amount of changes we had to do. So I feel comfortable by saying that we're gonna be under budget.
Kip, if you add the soft cost to the most recent, construction hard cost estimate, is that the total cost? Is that how you get to everything? And that's 50.6 plus 6. So is right now, the best estimate 56.6 for the total cost of this project?
I think so. I have to go back and look at it. That's how it gets there, yes.
Thank you.
Which is better than, or we started out with a guesstimate of 63 million.
Right.
Without a building being designed, which was pretty interesting. For those of us who had to present it to the RTM, there were no questions asked. And so I think that we're doing better than we thought.
And we've already received some of the money from the state, but I think the estimate for the total amount to be received from the state is 4.5-ish.
Was it?
No, it
Was it
came
that
down.
Yeah,
It came down from 6 and change, but I thought it came down to 4 and change.
that sounds about right.
So
What is, yeah,
I don't have it yet. I mean, I have to go back and look, and of course, it has to be audited.
right.
And they have to come back and say, no, we don't allow this, we will allow that. But
I'm referring to the number that our finance director tracks and presents to the board of finance monthly.
Right.
Okay. All right.
We're hopeful.
Right. Okay.
We're hopeful. So that's where we stand, which is, as far as I'm concerned, it's good news. Although I was concerned until I did the final work through. Anybody have any questions about where we stand financially on the project? Okay.
When do we close out final beyond construction? When does the whole financial package get closed out?
That's a good question.
Mid-October?
David, I'll turn to you on that one.
yeah, I mean, we have, I think George has done a good job of keeping the change exposure log pretty minimal, so there's not a lot of cleanup, right? You've gotta reconcile the trade allowances, get those
Right.
credited. There's not that many changes in the log left. So it's really a matter of just buttoning up those changes and getting to a final contract value with us. Everything else would come back. I mean, again, even, it's not gonna benefit you, but even where we are and knowing the limited exposure out there, of that 800 and something thousand dollars that's still in our contingency, the CM contingency, start giving that back. It's not gonna benefit you much, but it's not doing us any good in our contract. We're not using it, and there's really, other than what George is projecting, it's not much that it would be used for, so.
But does all that get reconciled in that EDO 42 we have here?
The EDO 49F? The EDO 49F is the last form that talks about what's eligible and ineligible, and it's your actuals. And at that point, I mean, we really need, all the state change orders have to be in,
Right.
and they have to be reviewed and commented by the state, which they've been pretty good about that. They're not too far in arrears, which is good. So, and I think that process has gone pretty well as far as, some of the stuff that they've deemed ineligible it's valid, and it's not big dollars. So, yeah, I would love to, say that, by the end of 2023, we can financially close the project. I mean, that would be I think it's somewhat aggressive, because it's like anything, it just ends up taking a little longer than you expect, but that would be a great goal to set for ourselves, is to close the books.
Does this committee stay intact until the books are closed, or until the Board of Education takes custody?
I believe
Or is it,
when the Board of Education takes custody, then our job is not fully done, as you pointed out.
Largely done.
Largely done, yeah.
right, so some of the punch list items might be now under your purview instead of
Our
committee.
facilities.
Right.
And, we'll have all the punch list items done.
Oh,
We'll have
yeah.
those done.
Right, and obviously they're.
The other thing that George has been doing a good job in is pushing all these suppliers not to have any back invoices, which they tend to do at the end of a project. All of a sudden, a year and a half ago, you start getting some done. They've been basically told, you get up to date now, and I think they're pretty much up to date.
Right. We had one that was about half a year old, or whatever it
So
was.
about a year and a half.
With just one guy, and we jumped all over it, so the message went out.
And George, where's the retainage being paid? Is in progress of being paid for completed contracts, or you haven't paid it yet?
No, we haven't paid it yet.
We didn't do any partial reductions for phase one stuff, did we?
No.
When do you pay out the retainage?
Substantial, well, you could reduce it.
Well, we could reduce it any time, but usually it's, after substantial completion.
Right.
So I did get a request, I think it was just one, and that was the fire stopping, which was very small. And his work's complete. The rest of the trades, they'll be after substantial completion, and we can talk about.
Is that the best time to do it? Because we have all these little
Well, no, you want,
stragglers.
no, you want their punch list done, you want their
Yes.
O and
Yeah,
M,
that's
close up
different.
documents, as built.
Different than substantial completion.
Correct. No, we
Completion.
You
not
gotta continue to
substantial
dangle that
completion.
carrot. To keep- As it is, some people don't really care about, for some reason they don't seem to care about retainage. But it's the only leverage we have at the end to get them to actually
Well,
finish.
yeah, we can give not just punch list, but any change orders, they'll have the final change, their final change orders all executed and processed and all that stuff before.
George, do we have a change in there yet, just for what the potential bond increase will be for the trades? It's probably not.
No, I haven't prepared.
Okay.
But yeah, I could create something.
Right.
So, all right, so back just timing wise on the financials then. So you're trying to get completely reconciled by the end of the year. When do you think you'll have the contractors done? Mid-October?
No, I think it's gonna be in tune with that. I mean, that's really the key point, is getting the contractors closed. Closing our portion of it out is really not that difficult. It's getting all 25 trades or whoever it is closed.
Anything else?
Does that make sense? Because they all just flow up into ours, so if they're not closed, we can't close.
The lion's share of the trades will be done, but there's always gonna be, 2 or 3 that are gonna take a little while to reconcile the changes and those kind of things.
And it's a good, I think that it's a good goal to set, is to try to get it done in 2023. It really is. It oftentimes does not go that well.
I'm sure like
Being frankly honest.
before the 6th year. All right. Anything else for the committee to talk about today, about the project?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, here we are at the end of the year, right? Having lived through it, and I just want to thank the committee, the co-leadership, architects, our contractors, and members of the committee, the town. This has been a phenomenal project. Luke has led the whole thing and nurtured the kids and the staff to the learning environment here. Thank you for the vision for the school, and the decisions you made along the way. All of these meetings have made things go so smoothly. I couldn't hope for, I don't think that the town could, such a wonderful transition. And like when you look at our car park, how tightly we're in at the moment, but things have worked really, really well all year. I just couldn't be prouder, and the actual environment that you provided for teaching and learning is just outstanding. I would think that it would be somewhat of a model for some of the other schools that you're doing, but I don't want the year just to pass out without just, and very simple, I just express appreciation for our students and from our families for what you've provided here. It's just phenomenal, and a special shout out to the leadership of the committee and Luke too, just for working to get it all work. So just thank you.
Well said. Thank you.
It's really remarkable to hear when there's still active construction.
Something you never heard before, Amy?
All school year, you've been working with a construction site. But it's nice that the phasing worked out, that it could be separated so well,
And we understand that all the things must go in there, at some point, you're gonna really just be happy that we're not here anymore. We won't be offended.
Oh, yeah.
When you pull out that trailer.
Good news is we can transfer Luke to any of the other 3 schools to lead the project over there. I think that would be quite the rebellion, wouldn't it?
Well, thank you for your comments, Dr. Riley. Appreciate it. I think everybody here has worked hard. Been all kinds of, when I reviewed the soft costs, I went back and I had to look at all these various things that happened. And, you know, you forget about we had the small committee groups, and Diane, they were mostly at your house, going over, you know, schematic designs and stuff like that. We had to change around the design of the school to a degree in order to make sure that we had enough space, because we cannot expand on this site. You know, this is a one-time shot, unfortunately. So a lot's going on, and while I remember all the downsides, I guess, the good side.
Well, and remember too, that this committee forged through getting a project up and running during the pandemic.
Yeah, crazy.
Well,
When everyone else was
That's
shut
really
down, the charge stayed on
Keep
course,
going.
and we started the project very close to the time we expected before the pandemic ever hit. So that's,
Yeah, I
That's
want to
pretty
remind
impressive.
everybody that the biggest financial thing that happened to us is we went out to bids, and we expected a number. We came in $5.4 million lower, I think it was. It was unbelievable.
10%.
Right, well, it was in the, first 6 months of the pandemic, because I think we bid in October 2020.
Right,
We did,
that's right.
and people were just really nervous.
Nervous.
And so, I mean,
They
that
wanted
was
more.
huge. And then you also made sure that they went out and purchased the materials. I mean, we only had one real, other than the gymnasium floor, we only had one thing that really held us up, which was the chemicals that made the
The roofing,
work.
yeah.
And that was shortage throughout the country, so we were timing wise, very fortunate, which really helped us. Any other business? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Dan and Duke, all in favor? Thank you all very much.
Does anyone have this stuff?